Before starting out on a wilderness venture, advise persons both at home and in the area of travel. Provide details of your route and estimated time of return. In this way, if you have an accident or get lost, someone will know and the search area will be defined. Once underway, use your map and compass frequently. Check location to assure you are on course. Regardless of the temperature, while traveling, your body will perspire. This results in loss of retained liquid. Accordingly, you must drink regularly to avoid dehydration and fatigue. When tired, stop and rest. A quick snack or sweets restore energy in a hurry. In cold weather, make a hot drink, such as soup in a cup. Unless absolutely necessary, never travel at night. It is too easy to become disoriented and lose your sense of direction. Make camp early enough during daylight so the campsite can be established. If possible, eat the evening meal and clean up before dark. When selecting a campsite, consider the following: availability of clean water, an area open to prevailing wind or a breeze during insect season. In lower temperatures, a sheltered or heavily wooded site. This gives protection from the elements and reduces or eliminates any wind chill factor. A location for the fire pit. It must be cleared to rock or hard surface. A waste disposal site for toilet needs, garbage, and dirty water. Look for soil or sand with enough depth to hold and absorb refuge. It should be close to the campsite and yet far enough from any water body to avoid seepage. Flat space for your tent. This will aid comfortable sleeping. A campsite beside water is preferable. If you want to swim or dip, check under the water first for any sharp objects. Once your site is selected, the next step is to organize it. If traveling by water, the canoe should be unloaded, placed on land, and overturned. Secure it by tying the painter to a tree or rock. For protection from moisture, unneeded gear can be stored underneath. Gather and store kindling and firewood. The supply should be sufficient to last the evening and prepare a breakfast fire. Normally, dead branches can be found at the bottom of coniferous or needle trees. They are drier than those on the ground. Next, set up your tent and arrange sleeping gear. Make sure it doesn't lie on a watercourse or in a hollow. Then build your fire pit and organize cooking facilities. Last but not least, dig the waste pit. This will establish your camp. Now you can light the fire and relax. A campfire will create a feeling of security and well-being, dispelling any uneasiness of darkness or the environment. Let's look for a minute at the axe and hatchet. Extremely dangerous, they require great skill and care in their use. When the shaft is made of wood, assure it is solid and the head secure. A sharp blade is essential at all times. If dull, it requires more cutting energy and could glance off the object being cut. Stand far enough from the cut area to avoid striking short, yet close enough so the body isn't overextended. Keep all parts of the body well clear of the path of the blade. To split a piece of wood, support it against a hard object. This eases the chore and assures the blade won't hit something and bounce back. Be relaxed. Force only reduces the cutting power. When chopping a log, cut at an angle rather than straight into the wood. By creating a wedge, you'll cut much faster. Now to the campfire. Make sure you have lots of matches and keep them in a watertight container. Use wood and not paper matches. The covers are useless when moist. By the way, you can waterproof wood matches by dipping them in wax. A fire can be lit in any weather. If it is wet, look for suspended dead branches on fallen trees or at the bottom of needle trees. Pine needles, small dead twigs, and branches are necessary to start the fire. For ignition, use toilet tissue or thin pieces of bark from cedar or birch trees. Pile kindling in the form of a teepee, leaving space between each piece for airflow. The flames will be accelerated by the flow of air as the heat of the flame rises. Place your ignition material inside so the flame rises through the kindling. Wait until the kindling is fully lit before adding more wood. Start by adding pieces which are thin and light. Do not add heavier wood until there is a good base of ashes. To prevent sparks from flying into the surrounding area, build a wall around the fire. Leave an opening facing into the breeze or light wind. This will allow it to fan the flames and increase combustion. If there is a strong wind, enclose the wall completely. The wall can be constructed of stones or water-soaked logs. When using rocks, assure they are hard and dry. If they contain moisture, they may explode as the heat of the fire expands it. If using logs, make sure they are wet. Dampness will delay their disintegration. Those which are waterlogged are preferable. There are two ways of supporting pots over a fire. You can either use a pole suspended between two supports, or one levered against a stone or notched stick. The end over the fire should be cut to secure the pot. In both cases, the pole must be strong enough to provide support. During insect season, build your fire upwind of the site. Green leaves or damp twigs on a hot base of coals will create smoke, which any breeze or wind will carry. A few words on camp cooking. As few persons as possible should be involved to avoid confusion and spillage. Food should be served, eaten, and cleanup effected during daylight. Meals must be appetizing. Here are some hints. Follow directions on packages. Avoid scorching or burning. Watch food while over a fire and stir constantly. If there is any question of water purity, boil it. Allow a basic 5 minutes plus one more for each 1,000 feet above sea level. You'll find boiled water flat. This is due to decreased oxygen content. The oxygen and taste can be restored after cooling by pouring it several times from one container to another. Don't wash in a lake, river, or stream. Use a pot or other suitable container. When finished, throw the contents on land where they won't flow into a watercourse. And above all, use biodegradable soap. When breaking camp, a dedicated tripper follows certain procedures. All food packages, cans, and leftovers are burned. Non-combustible refuge is packed in garbage bags for carriage out of the wilderness. The waste pit is covered and marked, normally with a cross, as a courtesy to future occupants. Water is poured over the fire pit and surrounding wall until they can be touched by hand. The pit should then be raked and saturated. Excess firewood is neatly stacked beside the pit. Then there is the final inspection to assure the campsite is completely free of refuge. The object is to restore it to its natural state. Remember, nature can replenish what has been disturbed and used. It cannot extinguish litter or restore damage. Now for a quick review. We have covered the basics of travel, advising responsible people of your plans. drinking regularly to restore lost liquid, and resting when tired. We have seen how to select and set up a campsite, handle an axe or hatchet, and build and use a fire. Then finally, we have dealt with the steps necessary to break camp. In closing, we hope you'll be a good tripper by preserving the environment and respecting other persons.